Thanks for joining us for this week's episode of Lakestone Love. Sorry we missed you last week. We've got a pretty full plate at the moment. Today we are focusing on furniture plans. It seemed like the right time to start discussing this, even though the process is not complete, but time to discuss it because I know I've referenced furniture plans so many times in so many different episodes. The furniture plans inform so many of the decisions that we're making throughout the design and build process. Sometimes I think clients would say, oh, well, we're not worried about furniture right now. We'll get it later. In my job, it's become really important to kind of bring the furniture back up front and center when we're doing the construction documents, because even if we're not buying it now, the furniture is a very important part of the function of the home, and it's so connected with the lighting and electric plan. It's connected with whole home automation if you're going that route. It is connected to traffic flows and flooring transition. In the furniture planning process, as we are in every single stage of this game, we are really focusing on function. How does this homeowner live? Do they entertain? How many people do they need to seat? We are just learning as much as we can about the homeowners and how they live and what they do and what they like to do and where they are going to keep their dog food. I mean, whatever it is, we are learning about it. And then we kind of can figure out, okay, is this a function that we're going to accomplish through cabinetry or through furniture? You know, are we leaving enough clearance for traffic flow? For us, and we do entertain a lot, and my husband loves to be outside, our kids love to be outside, so really having this openness from the family room to the covered porch was important. I really like to go ahead and do preliminary furniture plans before the architect moves us into working construction drawings, and definitely before the project is engineered, because it may be that a room is just like 1 foot too small or 10 inches too small. I mean, I will fight for an inch. So in the case of our covered porch, the initial design, all in trying to save this massive Japanese maple behind it, it was really too small and we would not have been able to seat enough people. But I wouldn't have learned that if I hadn't drawn in my own furniture plans. So in doing that, I was able to correct the size of the covered porch before we moved to working drawings. Another good example of that comes to mind is in our kitchen, we have a breakfast area. And really with our family, the way it works, we need to be able to seat 8 people, since on a day-to-day basis, as soon as Lula's out of her high chair, we're going to be at 6. So with that, when I drew in a breakfast table before we had finalized our plans, I realized that with the in-swing doors to the terrace being 3.0 doors, it was really limiting how much space I had for the table. And what is a few inches? By moving to a pair of 2.8 doors instead of the 3.0 doors, I was able to fit the size table that would be really ideal for our family. In the case of like our formal living room, we're putting in some recessed in the drywall. Basically, it's like invisible art lighting. It takes a good amount of thought going into it because, for example, I have one painting that we bought in Ecuador. I love it. It is one of my favorite pieces and it looks so great when it has light shining directly on it because it has a ton of texture. It's very saturated color. It's very long. So I am going to place that over the sofa in our formal living room, and knowing that, we were able to determine how far off the wall to put the directional art lights. Also, we're able to determine that we needed not 1, but 2 in order to cover the art fully for that space. And I think in planning furniture, it's not just furniture, it's the rugs and the artwork and the lamps. And do you have an outlet for the lamp? Is the outlet beside the chest or is it directly behind the chest so you don't see the cord plugged in? I mean, these are all very important things that can be designed for. But for a client to just make a paint color choice without any regard to the furniture, the fabrics, or the window treatments, or any of these pieces that come later in the decorating phase, it would just be so silly because then, it might be 2 years down the road and they go ahead and fully furnish the room and they're either spending tons of money based off a paint color they arbitrarily picked in 30 minutes, or they are having to get the painters in to repaint. So I'm just of the mentality of let's do it once and let's do it right. And I think that's another fun thing too, is by having these furniture plans, some things replacing existing inventory. What is it that I already own that I definitely want to use here? I definitely want to use this antique chest that we've had forever and this dining room table from my parents. But then it also kind of generates for you a shopping list of, okay, so I want to find really special bedside tables. I just want them to have this look about them, and they need to be about this big, they need to be about this tall. And so I had that list months ago in October when I was at Round Top, and I found what I was looking for, and so I struck those off my shopping list. Thanks for joining us for today's episode of Lakestone Love. Coming soon, we'll dive in a little more to the look and feel of the furnishings and the fabrics and the materials and patterns and prints. Let me know in comments which rooms you're most excited to see.